Hey guys, welcome to another week of Cook Along with us at Young Shrewsbury. I'm Adam Pennell, lead youth worker, and second one of the year. It was still January, so we're going to do another vegan dish. It's an old classic that everybody loves, but with a vegan twist. So we're going to make today a shepherd's pie or a cottage pie. Normally the difference between a shepherd's pie and a cottage pie is basically you use lamb in a shepherd's pie because shepherds look after lambs. Cottage pie is beef, I don't know why. So I suppose this is a cottage pie, but we're going to just replace the beef with these, which is red noodles. So first thing I want you to do, take a pan, okay? Make yourself up 1.5 pints of vegetable stock. You're going to go 500 grams of red lentils into your pan, okay? And then you're going to go in for 1.5 pints of chicken stock, vegetable stock. So you should be just covering those lentils, okay? Get that onto a medium heat and just let them cook. And they're probably going to take, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes to cook through. You want them just to be simmering really, stir them every now and then, and they'll end up kind of soaking up all of that stock and becoming sort of like a mash really, almost like mash. Once it's like that, take it off the heat, okay? I'll show you what to look for in a minute. So 20 minutes on that. In the meantime, let's get on with prepping the veg. Right then, first things first, we've got our lentils all cooked, ready to go. So we're going to get the veg on. Alright, so start off with a good glug of oil, get your pan on. Okay, and what we're going to do here, to get flavour into this, what we need to do is make sure that things caramelise. So we're going to cook things for quite a while in this frying pan before we add it to the lentils, and that's going to give those lentils loads of body and flavour. Okay, that's what we have to do in order to make this tasty, because we're missing a lot of the fat out of the meat, and the meat adds a lot of flavour normally, so we're going to have to compensate, and to do that, caramelisation is the key. Alright, so I'm going to take an onion first of all. I've got a rather large onion here, you could use 2 smaller ones, but onion's going to give you bags and bags of flavour. So as usual, take the skin off, okay, and you cut it into relatively small bits. We're going to get lots of different things packed into this today, so you know, you don't want massive chunks of anything because you want to get a little bit of everything in every mouthful. Alright, so that is half the onion chopped, and then we've got the other half here. Top and bottom off. This is a big onion, so I can afford to take both sides off. Normally, and I would tell you guys to leave the roots on to do this, but because this is such a big onion, I don't need to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to go straight down the onion, like that, and across. Okay, and then to a really hot pan. And as I always talk to you, I always say this every week, to get that to caramelise, this salt is your friend, okay? Give it a teaspoon of salt, that's going to pull all the moisture out of the onions and help them to caramelise more quickly. They're not going to caramelise until most of the natural water in the onion has evaporated into the air, okay? So the salt will draw that moisture out. So whilst that's going round, prep the next things, which is something else which needs a lot of caramelisation to make a soup tasty, is mushrooms. Okay, so I've got some mushrooms here. You can leave these out if you like, but actually you won't notice them in the end thing. Okay, I know a lot of people don't like mushrooms, but if you chop them down small enough, okay, so you can see I'm just chopping them up into little bits now, and you can use the seesaw method, the same as you do with your garlic, backwards and forwards, chop them up, okay. It almost goes to like mince, and by the time it's cooked and reduced, you ain't going to notice it, but it will add loads of flavour. Keep your onions moving. Okay, they're caramelising fast, which is great. Got this a really high heat in this pan, so that's working well. So I'm almost working against the clock here. You don't have to work as fast as I do, okay? Because you'll lose a finger. Okay, take your time with the knife. But I'm rushing here because you guys are watching me. And sometimes I run out of things to say, believe it or not. Occasionally. Not very often. Alright, so we're going to keep chopping those mushrooms. Nearly there. Last one. Probably did about 6-7 mushrooms there. These are just really cheap, simple mushrooms from the supermarket, nothing special. Going to add a lot of flavour to this pan though, right? In they go. Okay, mushrooms are in. They'll soak up quite a bit of that oil, so if it looks a bit dry in there, don't be afraid to give it another drip of oil. Don't forget, we're not using any mince, so all that fat that you're missing from the meat isn't there. So it doesn't matter if you use a little bit more oil than you would normally, okay? Just try and work it down, try and get these flavours all out of the caramelisation. So work it off the bottom of the pan, scrape it around. Cool, right, next. Carrots. I'm not going to bother peeling those. Okay, just going to cut them. I'm getting, my eyes are starting to sting, it's getting steamy in here. Might have to open my back door in a sec. So I'm going to cut the carrots. I cut them lengthways twice, so you've got these sort of flat bits like this. And then just going to run the knife down, straight down, so we get little fingers, or not little skinny bits like that. And then finally, we'll go across it with the knife. Turn this down a bit, it's getting a little bit smoky in here. I think I might be burning it. No, I'm not quite. It does need another bit of oil. And it does need the back door opening. Need my whoa! Smoky in here. Okay. Right, the back door's open now. Cooking on gas. Right. So anyway, back to the carrots. We're going to cut them across, like so, okay, and then cut these into small little bits as well, okay, so we just want little mouth-sized, bite-sized little bits, probably not even a centimetre cube, okay, we're going to fry those off with everything else that's in there. Right, excellent, that's looking good. Then, going to go in with parsnip, so the same thing. I am actually going to peel this because parsnip skin isn't as soft as carrot skin. You can get away with leaving the skin on a carrot, not so much for the parsnip. So this is one big parsnip, you could use 2 small ones if you wanted. Okay, but the same principle applies. So I've peeled it, I'm going to take the top off, bottom off, cut it into sections, and then I'm going to basically break those down. So I'm going to go long ways like that now, into sticks, and then across the sticks will mean we end up with these bite-sized bits of parsnip. Parsnip's going to bring loads of sweetness to this dish. It's really nice. Still very seasonal as well. It's good that we don't use vegetables that have been flown in from halfway across the world, just because it's not very good for the environment really. Try and utilise what's growing in the UK at this time of year, which isn't a huge amount, but parsnips most definitely are. Okay, so any old root vegetables are good in the winter, nice and warming, good for you. I'm going to go like that, okay, and then do that. Okay, so all those bits of parsnip are going to go into the pan now. It's starting to get nice and brown in there now, which is great. That's what we want. That means the caramelisation happening. Darkness. Because we don't want a brightly coloured kind of lentil-looking cottage pie mix. We want it to look dark and almost like it's mince, meaty, earthy, and kind of winter dish that it is. Okay, right, garlic, 3 cloves of garlic. Okay, so I'm going to do exactly what I always do, show you. Take the cloves, take the side of your knife, like so, and bosh, bosh, bosh. Okay, means you can skin them, dead easy. Okay, like that. Alright. Now what I've actually done is put the lentils into the other kitchen, my kitchen over there, So they're cooking, because I've only got one hob in here. You guys have probably got the lentils going at the same time as this. I'm going to check on those in a sec. They don't take too long to cook. Garlic goes in. Okay, more flavour. Alright. Work that in. Then we're going to go in with whole can of chopped tomatoes. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the tap, put this half filled with water, rinse the rest of it out and put the water in as well. Alrighty, like that. Okay, then I'm going to go in with some Maggi, or you might have soy sauce. Okay, just going to give it some dark flavour, some umami flavour. Okay, get plenty of that in. I'd say a couple of tablespoons of either soy or Maggi sauce. Works amazing on mushrooms, that stuff. Love it. Right, and then just work all of that together. And then finally, in there, we are going to have some bay leaves. So a couple of bay leaves. You don't eat these. If you come across it, when you come to eat this, just take it out. It's not going to hurt you though. It'll add loads and loads of flavour. So maybe like 3 bay leaves, just throw them in whole. Okay, and then we're going to give it a good sprinkle of mixed herbs. Maybe a tablespoon. And then I forgot my pepper, so I'm going to grab that. So the pepper goes in. About a teaspoon maybe of that. Stir it all together. And I've just seen my lentils and they look pretty good. Look like they're ready to go into this mix. So I'm going to grab my lentils. So just to show you what you're looking for with the lentils, okay, this is what we need. Alright, so see, they're kind of soft, cooked, okay, nice texture to those. That's exactly what you want. Alright, so they're going to go into the pan as well. Okay, mix everything together like so. We got our cottage pie mix. It's that easy. Just make sure you work everything together. It's looking good. What we're going to do now is it needs to cook a little bit longer, so I'm going to let it keep ticking while I sort out the potatoes. It's going to carry on cooking in the oven, so you don't need to make sure that this is completely cooked down before it goes in, but a few minutes on the hob is not going to do any harm. But what you can do at this point is just taste it, the seasoning, and I think that's pretty damn good. I don't need to put anything else in that. No, maybe a tiny pinch of salt. Okay, that's it. I'm going to get that down to the lowest heat setting now. Just let it tick. In the meantime, right, so traditionally cottage pie or any kind of shepherd's pie, cottage pie, you put mash on the top, right? Mash is a pain, it's another pan. I think it's quite boring. If you want to put mash on the top, you go and make some mash and spoon it on the top. You don't really need, you don't need me to show you how to do that. What I like to do is take potatoes and actually cut them, take some time cutting them into really thin, well, like if they were crisps, they'd be super thick, yeah? But very thin slices, discs, straight across. You don't have to peel them. That's the other thing with mash. I can't be bothered peeling potatoes. I hate it. So, I'm just going to layer up these potatoes. I'm going to slice them like this now, and then I'm just going to layer them up on the top of the pie. We'll season them, and then the juice from this underneath, I'm going to turn that off the heat now. We'll steam them from underneath, but then they'll kind of roast on the top, so you get like crunchy, kind of like, almost like crisps, chips, roast potatoes. I don't know what they're like, but they're awesome on the top of the pie, alright? So I'm going to just slice up another one of those. I'll do 2 and then see how we get on. I can always slice some more up if I need it, but I reckon we might even cover it with 2 spuds. And that's the other thing, use a lot less spuds as well. So if you are like trying to lose a few pounds because it's January, you ate too much at Christmas, too much chocolate, whatever, There's less carbohydrates in this than if you were making mash, where I'd have to use maybe a kilo of potatoes. Probably got about 500 grams of potatoes here. So it's up to you what you want to do. Mash is fine too, but this is how I'm rolling today. Okay. All right then. So just going to hold that there. Right, we're going to take our. I've got all my. Woo! Nearly chopped my feet off there. Be nice. Nice out of the way. Right, so pie mix into like a lasagna dish, or I don't know, any kind of oven dish like this. Use the back of the spoon just to smooth it out. Make sure it's all even. Lovely job. And then all we're going to do is just, I'm going to start layering up these potatoes, and you can just overlap them all the way along. It doesn't have to be that neat. Okay, just overlap them all over this pie. Okay, I'm just going to keep going with that. Loads and loads of layers of potato. And this is a slow burner, man. This is going to go in the oven for anywhere between 45 minutes and an hour at like 180. And they will just, the longer you leave this almost, the thicker, sorry, the more crunchy the potatoes are going to get, and also the thicker the sauce will get as well. So make sure that if your sauce is looking really thick now, you've got the chance to add a little bit of water perhaps, and just make sure that it's not so thick that in an hour's time in the oven it's like, you know, really, really tough, because it's going to continue to evaporate in the oven, remember that, yeah? Alright, so just slide it. I think I got just about enough bits of potato here. I'm just going to, and if you want to put extras in anywhere, it's not going to hurt. Alright, and then, right then, oops. Now I don't know if you've got sea salt there, but if there's ever a time to use sea salt rather than normal salt's okay if you haven't got anything else, but I'm going to treat myself. So we're going to sprinkle in the sea salt on this now, so we're going to grab that. So we're going to go oil. Now roast it, remember there's hardly any fat in this, so don't worry about giving some oil to these potatoes, because that's what's going to help them to crisp up. Put your thumb over the bottle and just splash it all the way over the spuds. Okay, that is not going to hurt you because you've got such a low fat dish anyway. Okay, then I'm going to go for a good pinch of sea salt. So if you had like crisps, or if you were making roast potatoes, you would do this, you'd have this much salt. And the salt again will help to draw the moisture out of those potatoes and help it to crisp them up. Help the oven to crisp them up, help the heat to crisp them up. Alright? Finally, it's going to go for a little bit more pepper to sprinkle in. And a few more mixed herbs. That'll do. And that is ready to go in the oven for about 45 minutes, and I'll show you how it should look. So if it does take a bit longer than 45 minutes, just leave it in, but I will show you the end result when it's done. Just nod. Okay, so this has been in for 45 minutes now. I'm going to show you what it needs to look like. Look at that, absolute beauty. Make sure you use some heat-proof gloves to get it out of the oven. Let it rest for about 25 minutes. 20 minutes, you can cook your veg, broccoli, carrots, peas, whatever you want to go with it. Serve it up, and that's it. I'll see you guys next week. Make sure you like, subscribe, tell your mates, and all that jazz. See you soon.